Welcome to another episode of the Groove Pod, everybody. And just to keep you on your toes, I've got another new person here today, sort of. There's a family connection. So 2 episodes ago, we had Adam on the podcast, and we had that sort of philosophical conversation around audiophiles sometimes being unfriendly online. And then Nick came back as usual. Nick has now this week been tied up with work, and we couldn't make the timings come together. So Adam's dad, Neil, has actually agreed to join me and have a chat today about his experiences in audio. And I thought it'd be good just to quickly introduce Neil. I've known Neil now for I think 3 or 4 years. He joined as a Patreon member of my YouTube channel, and we've gotten to know each other through the live streams and just chatting through the Discord channel there as well. But Neil, do you want to maybe introduce yourself a little bit in terms of what's your audio life? What's your reason for getting into the hobby and kind of going deep into the hobby been?
Okay, well, first of all, I'm old, and don't call me dad, and don't call me grandpa. And I purchased, I never intended to be an audiophile, and I purchased in the mid-'60s a Koss headphone. It was an electrostatic headphone. It had white, hard shells, and the pads were fluid-filled, believe it or not, like a waterbed. And then I got involved in university, and then, of course, career and marriage and family. And I retired from the high-tech industry for 25, 30 years. And so I had some time on my hands, and I've always loved music. And I don't know what triggered my entry into the world of headphones again, but it happened. I started slowly. I became intrigued. I read, I watched, I bought, I experimented, and gradually I got further and further and further into the world of what's the word? Audiophilia?
Audiophilia, which it always sounds wrong, doesn't it?
Is that the sickness?
That is.
And it's been a passion and a hobby of mine for the past, I would say, about 5 years. Maybe it was the period of COVID that got me involved. Mm-hmm. I started with a see how good my memory is, a Focal Clear. Mm-hmm. And a JDS Labs L-Stack.
Yes.
That was the beginning. And then, of course, since I purchased the equipment and I like to read and I like to do some homework, I found people like you and others who unfortunately fed the habit and made me more and more curious. And then I started to acquire. Mostly headphones, very recently IEMs. So I have 2 different systems. I have one in my TV room for basically watching movies and television at night without disturbing my wife. And then I have one upstairs outside of the master bedroom in the hallway, which is my primary desktop listening station. And the only reason I sit in that chair every night for 2 or 3 hours is to listen to music. Mm. So I have enjoyed this discovery very, very much. And of course, as you know, I have certain opinions about the journey.
Absolutely.
So now, that's as much as I'll say. Yeah. I have had a bunch of my equipment stolen. I purchased the Ameza Elites, and they were taken by my son. And then I had a Focal Utopia 22, and it was taken by my son. And then I had a Biz 1266, and that was taken by my son. And then a Forte Ears Macbeth IEM, which I bought at Can Jam, not this past September, but a year ago, the past September. And of course, that was taken as well. And my son and I share a love and a passion for music.
Which is a really, I think it's a really cool thing to share. I hope as my son grows up, he already loves music, but obviously he doesn't really, at the age of 5, he's not really kind of discerning about the gear that he listens to yet. And so I hope it's something that he and I will develop as well. I think it's a wonderful thing to share, even if your music tastes don't necessarily align, because sometimes that's what happens between different generations. the sharing of the love of the music and kind of the gear as a gateway to that sometimes I think's such a cool thing to have. So it's really nice having both you and Adam join the Patreon community, and me getting to know you both has been kind of fun for me as a father of a young kid as well, just to see what's possible in the future, perhaps. Although hopefully Xander won't come stealing all my good stuff. He can have all the stuff that doesn't quite make it onto my desk.
Well, I love the fact that Adam enjoys music, and of course, his music is much different than mine. Music is my zen; it's my meditation.
Yep.
When I put my headphones on and I listen to music, it takes me to another world. It has a very calming effect upon my behavior, especially at the end of the day. People say you should, retreat from lights, from reading, from noise, music, television before you go to bed. Nope, I take my headphones off, and 10 minutes later, I'm asleep.
Yep.
So I listen primarily from 10 at night to about, based on how I feel, about 1 or 2 in the morning.
Wow. Okay.
And I'm surprised at how the day flies when I have my headphones on.
And that's actually interesting you say that, because that was why, and this is a completely unplanned chat. This was me messaging Neil and saying, hey, Nick's been caught up. Do you happen to be available? So none of this is planned, but you've just given me a perfect segue into kind of the reason I wanted to talk to you more specifically, was that you and I have both talked a lot about earphones or IEMs in the Discord chat recently. And I just released a video a little while ago of the Softies RSV Mark II. And the video was talking about the fact that I'd rediscovered something with IEMs, and those IEMs in particular, that I'd forgotten for quite a while. And it's exactly what you just said, Neil. That's that ability for me. I'll put in a pair of IEMs with a good source, like a little Chord Mojo 2 and the Poly streamer that goes with it. And I'll lay in bed and put on music, and I'll just let it transport me into that world, that sort of sonic landscape, if you like. And I wanted to chat to you about that because I know that's something that you do both with headphones and with earphones. But I guess what I'm asking is how have you found earphones to be better sometimes, perhaps, obviously different from your headphone listening experience, and when do you choose to reach for your earphones over the headphones? What do you get out of the earphones that's different?
Okay, let me answer the last question first. I rotate. So as my son would say, it's part of the rotation. So I do that so that I don't ignore any of the equipment that I have. And I enjoy, it's like opening a new bottle of wine. It's a different experience with every headphone because they're tuned differently. Let me explain that I have a medium hearing loss in my left ear. And because of my hearing loss and my age, I don't hear the entire frequency band as clearly and as acutely as I used to as a 20-year-old. So I was curious because I had only used headphones prior to a year ago, and I've never taken off a headphone and looked at them and said, wow. The first time I put at your recommendation, you owe me a lot of money because you caused me to spend a lot of money. The fur radon 6s. You sent me a nasty little note going, these are fantastic. You have to buy these. Of course, I have acquisition syndrome. So, of course, I went out and bought them. And I took them out of my ears and I looked at them and I said, what's going on? Oh, my God. The imaging, the staging, the clarity, the tonality, the crispness, the tightness of the bass, the articulation of the voices, the granularity that I crave because of my hearing loss. So I want to be able to try and hear everything that's possible. And I was just astounded. So that got me started on IEMs. And it was not a good experience to begin with because I had to call Fur a number of times and go, how do you get these to stay in your ears?
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it doesn't fit. And they make little ear tips that go on the nozzles of the IEMs. And I discovered that there are 64 million different ear tips in the world.
And counting.
And I think I went through 63 million of them, at which point you said, well, I just got custom shells made. So, of course,
That was your next step.
being me, I went to the audiologist. I got an ear impression. I sent the Radon 6 to Fur along with my ear impression, my concha impression, correct?
Yeah, so it's the
Yes,
ear
it's a
canal up to what we
concha.
call the second bend and the concha, which is
Right,
the little
right.
for those listening along, it's
Little
a little bowl inside the flappy part of your ear that
inside the
leads
ear.
directly into the ear canal. Yeah.
And then I got them back and they just popped in and the seal was perfect and
Mm,
it was just absolutely wonderful. Um, I then acquired, and I enjoyed them very, very much. I need a lot of power because I adjust the right channel down 18 dB in order to center sound. So that requires a certain power requirement. Well, when an IEM is in the ear and in the ear canal, there isn't a lot of separation between the sound that's being generated and reaching the inner ear.
mm,
So the IEM is, like up close.
yeah.
And so it didn't require as much power. So I found that I could use lower powered equipment. For example, the Mojo 2, which I have,
Hmm.
660, 690 milliwatts,
Yep.
I believe.
Which for an
Plenty of
IEM is
power to
actually
drive.
dangerous for an IEM in terms of you could blow up every IEM on the
Right.
planet with the Mojo 2 if you wanted to.
But plenty of power for me.
For
So
you,
all of a
exactly.
sudden, the world
Yep.
of DAP came into existence, the ability to use my phone with a dongle. So it added a level of functionality that I did not have with headphones.
Hmm.
Now, I need to be careful because when I listen to my IEMs on either system, my TV system has a 20 watt per channel amplifier, and I just bought the Chord Alto, which for some reason seems much more powerful than the 7 watts at 32 ohms that it's supposed to have. It's just amazing.
Yeah,
I can run the Susvara at
that'll be the gain level, and it's an interesting topic actually. That's probably not what we're going to talk about today, but often the amount of
okay,
gain an amp has is actually how loud it gets, not the amount of power that it has. So you can look at a
right.
20 watt amp and a 7 watt amp. The 7 watt amp may be louder with your headphones or earphones if it's got higher starting gain levels.
Well, I've conflated those two. I'm sorry about that. You're
No,
right.
that's okay.
It is volume for me
Hmm.
because the auditory nerves are healthy. So if I have enough volume, I hear everything, which is to me, which is a revelation.
Mm.
So I'm very appreciative of that. But I went to Can Jam in September in Irvine, California, which is one of the few venues that audiophiles have to actually touch something and try something. There's very little retail in the
So
world. Most
true. It's
most
a
of the
hard thing.
retailers are in a few major cities, and the rest of the world simply has to take a chance.
Yep.
And it becomes expensive because a lot of times you don't make the right decision, and you either have to return something with a penalty or you have to sell it.
Mm.
So, Can Jam says, okay, you can try stuff. Now, it's noisy. You don't always have your own choice of music. And for me, when I get a piece of equipment, especially a headphone or an IEM, I have a technical playlist. And you would call that your test track.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is about 40 pieces of music that I know extremely well. I know every note. And that's the first thing I do when I get any piece of gear. I don't care whether it's a preamplifier, an amplifier, a DAC, doesn't make any difference what it is. I run through that test list because that helps me understand the sound profile of the piece of equipment that I'm using. So I do that with IEMs. And I happen to, um, there was a vendor there, a couple of vendors there that I like, that I'm close personal friends with, who specialize in IEMs. And of course, just tons of IEMs. So I started looking at expensive IEMs, and then I played around with very inexpensive IEMs. And what I found was, if you're careful in your selection, you can get a tremendous value
Mm.
in sound quality for very little money. And when I say very little money in this hobby, I'm talking maybe $200 or less.
Yep.
And so we're on this kick, my son and I, of acquiring, an $80 IEM, a $90 IEM. I just bought a
Hmm.
$180 IEM. I bought the Tipsy M3, even though you like the M1,
Hmm.
and that was
But I think the
$180.
M3 will suit you better, and that's like that's part of this whole hobby is understanding personal tastes. Both you and also Andrew, who's another Patreon member who people would have seen if they watched the channel on my Shenzhen show video when I did the Shenzhen audio show. Um, I understand his tastes now, and I understand your tastes now to the point that when I hear something, I'm like, that's what Neil would like, or that's what Andrew would like, and I think the M3 absolutely is more your cup of tea. Whereas if Adam was to ask me which of the Tipsy range to choose, I'd send him towards the M1 because I
Yes,
think he'd prefer that.
what he likes, the sound profile that he likes, is much different than mine. And every human being is unique. There's one thing we need is in this industry, which I encourage everyone who is in the world of audio, especially headphones and IEMs, is to use the word imho, in my honest opinion,
Mm, yep.
and to be confident in your own decision making. Too many times, and it was part of the chat that you had with Adam that, when people buy a piece of equipment and someone trashes it in a review, a written review or a YouTube review, they get very offended, they get very
Mm,
upset. And you just need to be happy with your choices.
yep.
You need to
Exactly.
say, look, I like this. It's like a bottle of wine. You may buy a bottle of wine that Robert Parker thinks is, Robert Parker used to rate wines,
Okay.
give it points. And you, he may hate the bottle of wine and you may love the bottle of wine. Well, to you, that's a good bottle of wine. Same thing in audio gear. And everybody's sound profile is completely different. At CanJam, I'd walk around with Adam and I go, you got to listen to this. And Adam would go, yeah, I don't like it.
Yep. Hmm.
And you're the same way. I will tell the audience that's listening that Lachlan and I very seldom agree on a headphone or
Yeah.
an
I
IEM.
don't
But
think there's too many of your favorite headphones that I would choose to listen to myself. But going to your point, I totally understand why you like them because of your tastes, your hearing loss. Like it all just, it's about your individual hearing and your individual preferences. It's not got to do with anyone else saying that it's good or it's bad. It's just which one suits you.
and it's the type of music you listen to
That's it too. Yeah. Which on that note, Neil, what
makes a difference.
if I know that I know already that you listen to a broad range of music, as do most. I think most audiophiles tend to be quite broad. Um, But if you had to pick, I'm going to put you on the spot and say, if you had to pick two genres that you could only ever listen to those two genres for the rest of your life, what would be your top two genres that you choose?
Easy classical and acoustic jazz.
Okay, yep. And when you're saying acoustic jazz, give us an example of what that would look like.
Okay, you caught me
So
off
like, are we
guard.
talking? Sorry, are we talking? What I was trying to understand is, are we talking like a jazz trio type of thing with a drums, double bass, and a piano? Is that what you'd consider
Could
acoustic
be
jazz?
it could be
Yep.
what's his name? Jesse what's Jesse's
Oh,
name?
I know who you're trying to say, and I can't think of his name either.
Okay, Jesse Cook.
Okay, that's the one. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure he's done a whole lot of Blue Note recordings. He did a Bill Withers album, I think, where it was all Bill Withers tracks. I'm pretty sure that's the guy I'm thinking of. Yeah, so as opposed to like getting into big bands and stuff like that, you're more talking about the small ensemble jazz stuff. Is that what you mean?
Well, you asked me for my preferences, but I have
Mm.
to tell you that I use Rune exclusively.
Mm-hmm.
I stream Cobos and Tidal via Rune.
Yep.
And Rune has a feature, as does Spotify and Apple, um, which is when you're finished listening to a particular album, it says, "Oh, you're listening to this type of music," and then it goes out and then it has an algorithm that says, "Well, we think you'll like similar music like this." And that is part of my discovery. I would say that
Mm.
every night when I listen to what's called Rune Radio, I hear something that I like and I go, I add it to a playlist in Rune called Listen Later, and I fill that up. And then that is new music that I'm constantly adding
Mm.
to my collection of music. I will tell you that in the past 4 or 5 years, my music education has grown exponentially.
Yep.
Exponentially. I listen to artists from all over the world. I am amazed at the musical talent that exists in the world.
Mm.
And because I listen to people like you, and I get newsletters from Cobuz, and I get newsletters from Tidal, and we do these Zoom meetings where we ask, what's your favorite piece of music that you've recently discovered? I am constantly bombarded with new music, and that is one of the things I absolutely love
Yeah.
about this hobby. So my music education has grown just unbelievably in the past 4 or 5 years. So while primarily classical and acoustic and jazz, I really enjoy all kinds of music. As a matter of fact, this is a little aside. You might want to edit this out. Because of the gear I have, because of its, I have, the clarity and the imaging and the staging that allows me to be able to peer into the music. I've discovered that rock music from the 60s, 70s, and 80s actually has words. And people laugh at me when I say that, but I say, well, basically when you're in a bar when you're 18 years old and there's, and music is playing, the words become unintelligible.
Mm.
And so I've gone back to listen to all of the, the classic rock from the past 50 years and listen to the words.
Yeah.
And that's one of the benefits of the discovery of being in this world.
Yep.
So it's been
It's interesting.
a source of joy.
Yeah, I agree, and it's interesting you say that about the lyrics, because now having my son Xander, he'll often be listening to music, and so we've got an agreement that on the way to anywhere in the car, he gets to listen to his playlist that he's gradually building. Whenever he hears a song he likes, he says, "Dad, can you add that to my playlist?" So we get his playlist on the way to places, and we get my playlist on the way home. But my playlist is actually just my selection of favorites, like all of the songs in my entire audio collection that I've favorited over the years. There's probably 4 or 5 thousand tracks in there, so you never know what you're going to get on the day. But it's been interesting. It's been quite revealing to me. Every now and again, he'll say, "Dad, what's this song about?" And I often answer. This goes back to what you said, Neil, about like when you're in clubs and when you hearing music out and about. So often I say to him, I actually don't know what the song's about. I just like the tune, the rhythm, the
Right,
feel of
right.
it,
The
and I've
rhythm, the
never
beat,
taken the
right,
time to listen to the
right.
words. So that's something I'm finding that I'm enjoying with my rediscovery of putting in some IEMs and going to sleep with them is, or not going to sleep. I'll tend to listen, finish, take them out of my ears because I find it uncomfortable to sleep with them in. But I'll listen just before bed, and because I'm more focused and attentive just to the music in that moment, I'll hear lyrics that I've not heard before, and I'll understand them in a way that I've never understood. And there was a song recently that I can't think what it was, but I'd always thought of it as a song about probably love, romance, whatever. And I listened the other day and I'm like, I don't think that's what it's about at all. So
Right, right, right,
it's just fun
right.
rediscovering that stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, men, by the way, I think men historically listen to the music and the beat as opposed to the lyrics. But because the music is so clear in my systems,
Mm,
because I have headphones and IEMs on, I hear the lyrics. And of course, Rune, if you're using, for those of you who use Rune, click on an album that's playing and click on lyrics, and
that's
lyrics
a
will
good point.
scroll, so
Mm,
you can actually read the words as they're sounding them. And it's very enjoyable to me. The only thing that's disturbing about this community thing of music is that my son and I enjoy much of the same music. I don't know why that bothers me. I don't know why that bothers me, but it does. He does a lot of posting to music recommendations on your Discord.
hmm.
And of course, being my son, I play every single one of them and I go, wow, this is really good. As a matter of fact, I have on my system at home, because Adam comes over to experiment with my system and
Hmm.
brings stuff over and does things. There's an Adams playlist and I listen to
Okay.
it and I go, wow, this is really good.
Mm, mm. I think
So
I was thinking the other
makes me
day
laugh.
about the evolution of music. I can't think what I was listening to, but I was thinking about if we go back in time to the early, probably the early 1900s, and the type of music people were listening to then. And obviously that was a far cry already from classical music, as we often obviously overgeneralize because there were so many subsections within classical. You've got your Renaissance, your Baroque, etc. But I think a lot of us think of classical music as orchestral and chamber music. And then I was thinking about the fact that in the 1900s and probably the late 1800s, perhaps, I don't know enough about that period, we started to see the beginnings of what would be considered modern music today. And then, of course, there was just this explosion of rock and jazz and blues, and or sorry, not in that order. It would have been jazz and blues and then rock. And I was thinking the other day that a lot of the modern music coming out now, obviously we've got there's pop stuff has come over the top of that, and we're getting electronic influences and dance influences over the top of that. But I was thinking about the fact that at the root of most current modern music, it's the blues and the rock kind of chord progressions and structures.
Mhm.
And I was curious about that. I mean, A, it's great because it means we often all have a common language. If we're into popular music, there's kind of a common foundation, whether you're mostly about blues or mostly about pop, there's a similarity between them in a way. And I thought, I wonder where music is headed in the future. I wonder if 50 years from now, if there's going to be any dramatic shift away from what we have today, or if it's just going to be evolutions of the same thing. And therefore, what does that mean for how we enjoy music intergenerationally, like you've just spoken about with Adam?
I think the answer to that, in my opinion, is both. We'll
Mm,
see new discoveries. We'll see new chords, new phrasing, a
mm,
new way of putting together a song. We'll also see, if I use the word correctly, riffs on
hmm
existing themes.
hmm
And both of those will be new and enjoyable. But the music that was produced, if we go 100 years in the future, there will be people listening to music that's 50, 75, or 100 years old
Yeah.
and still enjoying it very, very much.
Yep. That's
Very
very
much.
true.
Um, classical music, Vivaldi's Four Seasons, been popular for hundreds of years.
Yep. Bach,
So,
Beethoven, same story.
yeah, it wouldn't surprise me at all for my great 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 grandchildren. Of course, I wouldn't be able to talk to them because I wouldn't be here to say to me, "Yeah, I really like Led Zeppelin."
Yeah.
I, I seriously, and that's the beauty, and that is really the beauty of music and the creation of music.
Yeah. Yep. So true.
I have tremendous admiration for um, people who produce music. These are truly creative artists,
Mm,
and my enjoyment of music is from all over the world. It can be Norway, it can be Sweden, it can be South Africa. I was listening to a jazz trio from Ethiopia that was
wow.
absolutely fantastic. There's a blues band called Baba Blues that's from, I don't know, Norway or Sweden.
Mm.
Just absolutely fantastic. And I've discovered music from literally from all over the world. And again, I love that. And um, I was listening to Noah, Noa. She's an
Oh,
Israeli singer.
yes. Yes.
She has a
I think you put
fantastic
me onto
voice.
her.
She has an album with the Soloist Quartet. It's a live concert and it's all in Hebrew. You don't understand a word, but the music is wonderful,
Mm.
just wonderful.
Yep.
It's like when people, I was a kid, I used to go to the opera and I'd go, okay, what's going on? But you appreciated the quality of the singing.
Exactly.
And so for me, it's an endless discovery, which is what I enjoy. But getting back to IEMs, I have to say the wow factor that I've had has been with IEMs.
More than headphones, you think?
More so than headphones.
Okay.
Maybe it's my incredulous understanding of looking at something that's so tiny and going, how
Yeah.
can I get that kind of sound in something so small?
Yep.
And it's just getting better and better and better and better and better. And there's trickle down, which means that the tuning, the use of materials, the size and shape of the shell, the way the crossovers are handled. Um, Manufacturers who are producing inexpensive IEMs are learning from the masters.
Yeah, that's it.
It's like automobiles. Today you can buy an entry-level automobile that has what's the word? Keeps you in the lanes.
Oh, like the lane keeping assist and
Yeah,
adaptive cruise control and stuff like that. Yeah.
adaptive cruise control. Yeah, you'll find those entry-level cars.
Mm.
And the same thing. I think the technology and what's happening is that there are a lot of people in the industry who produce headphones and IEMs who move on and break away from existing companies.
Mm.
Um, a young fellow, Ricardo, not a young fellow to me, uh, from Forte Ears, used to work at Hi-Fi Man. Used to tune
Okay.
headphones at Hi-Fi,
Hmm.
and then he did the same kind of tuning for Elitech cables.
Okay.
And then he broke off. Still friends with Eric from Elitech, and produced a product called the Macbeth, a very expensive IEM, but marvelously tuned and with such clarity and such precision. Just kind of blew me away. And so you're going to see a lot of that. You're going to see a lot of. There was another one, Vox.
Don't know Vox. That's
It's
I mean part of both the challenge and the
this is
joy of IEMs is that there's so many brands out there now too.
this is a young fellow who used to work for, I think, something 64 Audio 60. What
Oh,
was it called?
64 audio.
64 Audio. He broke away and started his own company and produced
Okay.
a new product. Um, and I listened to it at CanJam, and it was absolutely sensational. So you're going
Mm.
to see a lot of that. And I've also discovered that if you have a frame of reference, and unfortunately, a lot of people in this hobby don't have a large frame of reference, which means, you know, do I have 12 different types of XLR cables? Do I have 50 different types of,
Mm.
RCA cables? Do I have 30 headphones? Do I have 40 IEMs? Do I have 12 amplifiers? Do I have, 60 DACs to be able to compare, all of them to see that they actually make a difference at the end point, which is, the human ear.
Hmm.
Um, but they do. And
Exactly.
I'm fortunate enough to have the wherewithal, and I say fortunate with a capital F, fortunate enough to be able to go out and acquire stuff
Hmm.
and test and compare.
Yep.
So I'm not quite a reviewer, but I have gone through quite a bit of equipment in my day, as you know, and you
Hmm.
know that I am fairly quick to buy, especially when there are people that I trust who say this is a good value and an excellent piece of equipment.
Yep.
I recently acquired the Chord Alto, um, the little tiny little amplifier that's very powerful and just marvelous.
It's a
And
remarkable little bit of gear. I'm actually hoping to buy one myself. I'm in the process of trying to sell off another even more expensive amp that I don't need anymore, so I can actually get an Alto in because it's
well,
such a great little unit.
given my habits, why don't you just wait 3 months and I'll just box it up and
Yeah,
send it?
yeah, that's quite likely.
No,
Unless Adam gets to it first. That's the challenge.
no, it's Adam. Oh, by the way, Adam listened to it with his Utopia 22s
Hmm.
and said, just marvelous,
Yeah.
just next level
It's a
performance.
cracking little bit of kit, that one. Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So the IEMs require some work. They require diligence in terms of tips. You need
Hmm.
to find tips that work, tips that seal. Cables are a little fussy.
Yep.
You have to, they get crumpled up. You have to straighten them out, and you have to, because of my age, I'm listening to something, and all of a sudden I have to get to the bathroom. So I stand up, and of course the IEMs get ripped out of my ears because
Yeah.
they're connected to the amp. Um,
And the cables are always shorter because they're really designed for more portable situations. So
for,
they're not
for
a
portable,
3 meter
right,
cable like
right.
a headphone. Yeah.
So it does require a little bit of diligence, but it's funny when you go to these events, you will see headphone people and you will
Hmm.
see IEM. There's this fellow that I met at a local meetup for IEM aficionados,
Hmm.
and he pulled out a box of like 30 IEMs. I said, "Well, how do you have
Mm.
so many IEMs?" He said, "Well, I buy and sell." He said, "I buy three or four of them at a time." And he's got this big transportable amp and these tiny little amps, and um,
Some people just love it. It's like their world. They can
just
take their audio world anywhere they want to go because they've got, a great
right.
player and a little case full of earphones.
There are people who are in both camps. I happen to be in both camps. I happen
Yeah,
to
me
like
too. Yep.
and I like IEMs, and I'm a person that constantly likes to experiment.
Yep.
And I think that is a tendency of people in the audiophile world.
Hmm.
So I always like to say, "What's next?" rather than say, "I'm happy."
Yeah. Yep.
I wish I weren't like that, but I am.
I think you've done. I think you've probably settled based on our conversations. I think you've probably settled a lot on your source chain. Obviously, there's little ins and outs and goings on, but your main source chain at your desk hasn't changed dramatically. Like you've had the M scaler and the Dave, um, and what's your primary amplifier up there now that you're using?
Well, well, I recently sold the Ray Samuels
Ah, that's
B21
right. Yeah, the B21
Raider,
was it? Yes.
a massively expensive and massively large amplifier that was both a dynamic and an E-state amplifier. So I sold it to someone in Paramus, New Jersey, who was absolutely thrilled. And I bought a Stax SRM 700. It's called a driver unit for ear speakers.
Yes, which is a fancy way of saying it's a specialized headphone amplifier for electrostatic headphones.
For electrostatic. And I replaced the dynamic side with the Chord Alto.
Oh, that's of course. I was forgetting that the Alto went to your desktop system, not your TV system.
And if you asked me if I missed the B21 Raider, I would say not at all, especially since I took the $6,000 difference
Which so the fact that
and
that's the difference alone tells us
and,
everything.
and put it in Adam's motorcycle fund.
Yep. Which I
So
had a go at him about on the last episode that he was favoring motorbikes over audio. I was very upset with him. Not really.
yeah, so yeah, he likes motorcycles. I used to motorcycle, but I'm too old to motorcycle today. So the only piece of equipment that has not moved in a few years is the Chord Dave M scaler.
Mm.
I have yet to hear DAC, whose sound I prefer
Yep, I'm the same.
more
I've heard some that get
more
very
than the
very
Dave.
very close. There's some that have really pushed me. Like I've got the I don't think you and I have talked about this yet. I've got the Gustard X30 here now, and also the R30, which I haven't even unboxed yet. And the X30 is the first DAC that I've heard where I've thought, could I part with the Dave? The Dave is clearly better still, but there's something about the sound of the X30 that's a little bit addictive to me that I keep wanting to just listen to that instead. But I think at the end of the day, I would still choose the Dave because it is clearly better. It's got more insight. The staging is just immaculate. And that's the thing that I'm in the same boat as you. So far, nothing I've ever heard has been able to beat that. Even at higher price points, I've tried stuff that, maybe not higher. I've tried stuff that's close to it. I haven't yet gone above the Dave in price. But yeah, nothing's made me think, okay, there's actually something better.
So that's the one piece of equipment that's remained stable. Now, I should explain what I have because I have two different systems and two different philosophies. Let me start with my TV system. My TV system, I sold everything and I bought a Shanling SM 1.3, which is the equivalent of an Eversolo DMP A8. It's a streamer DAC and amp.
Hmm.
But I only stream runes, so I use very little of it, but it's there. Okay. And I bought a topping D900 at your recommendation as the DAC,
Hmm.
and it's a very good DAC.
Yeah.
It's a very, very good DAC, especially for the price. Okay. So in my opinion, in to the audience, please don't shame me for saying $1,800 is a value proposition for that DAC.
Yeah.
Because I know you can buy DACs for $100 to $300.
Hmm.
And then I took a chance. Um, there's a company that makes cables called Double Helix.
Hmm.
They're in Texas. Peter is the owner, and he said, I just acquired a new amp from China, from a company called FangSound, FangSound. and it's called the Ariadne. It's named after a Greek mythological creature. What's the word I'm looking for? Well, it's named after someone in Greek mythology.
Yeah, I haven't looked that up yet to know what Ariadne was. Whether it was a
Some
person, a
sort of
god,
princess, god of something,
yeah.
appreciation. I have no idea. But it's a tiny little thing, very well built. It's a monocoque, which means a single piece of extruded aluminum as the shell, and it puts out 20 watts per channel. It's dead silent, even for IEMs. And so that is my TV listening system. So I have an RJ45 Ethernet connection into the Shanley. That streams Roon. I have USB digital out to the topping D900, and then the D900 I have to the Ariadne amp. The only difference in the chain is that I have custom balance boxes. These are XLR balance boxes, and what they do is the DACs go into the balance box, and then out from the balance box to the amps, and it has a right channel knob and a left channel knob, and it allows me to play with the knobs so that I can center the sound. So that's unique to me. Now on my desktop, the only piece of equipment that's unusual is I wanted to experiment with tubes, but I didn't want a tube amp. So I bought a piece of equipment from a company called Wright. This is Dan Wright in Seattle. And he makes very good high-end tube amplifiers. And he has something called a analog bridge, which is a unity gain preamp. And it sits between my DAC and my amplifier. And it allows me to add a slight amount of tubiness, and I can toggle between 6S and 7s and 6922s. In case I want to add a little warmth to whatever it is I'm listening to. And then he built it with a bypass, so if I simply shut the unit off, it passes the signal through from my DAC to my amplifier, and it's as if the tubes did not exist. So it's a very convenient way for me to add just a slight amount of richness to whatever I'm listening to, particularly if I'm listening to a headphone that's highly articulate, has a little edge to it. This piece of equipment takes
the edge off.
Takes that edge off. But so that is what I listen to, and it's very difficult. I want to say that even with my wherewithal and my ability to go to can jams, if you're going to enjoy this hobby, there are two words that you really need to embrace. The first one is refund, and the second one is sell.
Yeah.
Because no matter how hard you try, no matter how many events you attend, no matter how many reviewers you will make mistakes.
Yep.
And it's just an integral part of the hobby. It's a cost. It's a cost of doing business in the world of music. So it's just and even if you find a retailer, typically they're noisy. You can't listen for hours and hours and hours. You may not have your music, which is extremely important.
Or your collection of headphones. You might only have one that you took with you, or whatever they've got on hand.
Right, or they have a different chain. And all of that makes a difference.
Yep.
There are some people who say, well, DACs don't make a difference, that USB cables don't make a difference, power cables don't make a difference. And the answer is everything that changes in the chain affects the music. Now, some to a great degree, some to a very, very minor degree. But every change you make in the, what do we call that? The music chain?
Yeah, the source chain. Yep.
Source chain makes a difference.
Yep, that's been my experience, definitely. And I agree with you. Like sometimes the difference is so small that you can't tell, and therefore it seems like nothing's changed. And therefore, if perceptually nothing's changed, it's fair enough to say nothing's changed. But I think you made a point before, and I was chatting to, I don't know if you're familiar, Neil, with Tyler from Tyler's Eclectic channel.
Oh yeah, I like
Tyler's
I like him.
He's really cool. He and I were chatting on the video I did the other day about the fact that we as reviewers are in a position where we're able to hear a lot of gear, and this is what you were talking before about, you're in a position where you've been lucky to try a wide range of gear. It's only when you get to spend time with lots and lots and lots of gear that you really properly understand what does
Right.
and doesn't make differences, and how small the differences can be and how big the differences can be. I had a guy trying to tell me the other day that there's no way that DACs make a difference, and eventually what came out, and I don't say any of this to belittle his experiences, because I was there once upon a time as well before I started doing all these reviews. He had tried a couple of different DACs via a fairly affordable amplifier, and he said, I've tried them, there wasn't any difference. There was a decent difference in cost between the DACs, but he didn't hear a difference between them, and therefore he's decided that DACs don't make a difference. And the two things I would have said, or did say to him, was that firstly, the two DACs he tried are both built on a very similar principle of a DAC chip in a very cheap unit using integrated op amps. And therefore, they are both going to sound very similar. So he's not wrong that they sound very similar, but that doesn't mean that all DACs all sound similar,
Right.
just those two do. And then the other thing was that he's only heard them through a relatively cheap headphone amplifier, which I can't remember if the one he was talking about is integrated chips or a discrete design, because discrete designs do tend to be more revealing of things like soundstage depth. But either way, it's a very cheap amplifier that's not going to be the most revealing of systems to then test DACs through. And so I think it's unfortunate that sometimes people take, through no fault of their own, what they've got as a very, 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 very small sample size and a very small range of experience, and assume that that therefore applies to everything, which the reality is, as you've said, Neil, it's more complicated than that when you start to try a lot of gear.
It's much more complicated, but you cannot blame or denigrate those people.
No.
Their frame of reference is small,
Mm,
and they take pride in their opinions, so let them enjoy.
exactly.
There's
Exactly.
really nothing wrong with that. This is not only a hobby for enjoying music, but it's also a learning experience.
Mm, yeah.
And Adam, being a philosopher and an academician by training, and his father being fairly curious and trying to convince him that I read more than comic books. Uh, uh, I enjoy the education. Now,
Mm,
some people don't enjoy the education. They just want to listen to music, and they don't really care. But since it is one of my primary hobbies now, and it's something I look forward to every night, and that I do as a solitary hobby because I listen at night. My wife is in the bedroom asleep, or she is in her office reading. So I am all alone when I listen to music. So it's my alone time,
mm,
which is how I enjoy my music the most.
yep.
But I don't. Everybody has an opinion, and when they make a purchase, they like to think that they made the right purchase.
Hmm.
Some of them get very, very sensitive
Hmm.
about being criticized about their purchase, and I don't like to do that. I may do that privately, but I would never ever do that publicly.
Mm,
I want everyone who has made a purchase and who enjoys music to be able to continue to enjoy
yeah.
music, because that's really what it's all about.
Exactly, and that's sort of where I was heading as well, and we might sort of even wrap it up here, because I think that's a nice end point. Is ultimately this hobby is about that. It's about enjoying music, and whatever gear, whether it's expensive, cheap, made in the USA, made in China, made in Portugal, whatever, as long as you're enjoying the music through it, that's the only thing that actually matters in the end, isn't it?
At the end of the day, that's the only thing that matters. If there's a smile on your face, you've made the right purchase decision.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's all I can say.
Yeah.
I want to thank you very much. It's an honor to be able to do this with you in person. To the people who are listening to this podcast, you may not know, but Lachlan is a very nice person. He's a good person. He has a good set of ethics. He's honest. He knows what he knows. He knows what he does not know. And he appreciates and values the opinions of others. So I like him as a YouTube reviewer. And I like him as a friend.
Thank you, Neil. Thank you, Neil. Appreciate that. It's really, really kind of you. And it's been, as I said before, it's been so much fun getting to know you, and having both you and Adam, making it a family thing in the Discord's been a lot of fun. So appreciate you being a part of that as well.
Well. I'm warning you. I'm coming to Shenzhen next year with you and
Excellent.
Andrew, especially
Excellent.
Andrew. We're gonna do a fashion show together.
Oh, you and
You
Andrew in
fly.
the same room. God help us.
Oh, that's gonna be tough. Yeah,
It
you might
is.
want to leave.
Yeah. Be
But
like
I
a
do,
showdown.
and if you have the ability to get over to Irvine, California,
I
for
may
sure.
have an opportunity for next year potentially to get a sponsored trip over there. It's a lot of investment in time and money for me in what is still still to this day a relatively small channel. So I do need to rely on things like sponsorship, but I've probably got a sponsor who would want to have me go over there potentially. So I'm going to work on that one and we'll see how we go.
That would be terrific. And I do look forward to seeing you in person as
Yeah,
opposed to
likewise.
just on Zoom.
Always virtual.
Well, this was a lot of fun. I'm happy to participate.
Cool.
I'm retired, so I have a lot of free time. So
Hmm.
if there's an opportunity and you need someone to spew nonsense, I'm your man.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Oh, Nick, I was chatting to Nick beforehand when we were chatting about the fact that we couldn't quite make today work, and he said that he's loving that the Groove Pod is kind of turning into this little kind of community podcast almost, where it's me and whoever else, and Nick. Hopefully, Nick said to me he'd love to do an episode with other people as well, where it's Nick and me and other people. And so yeah, hopefully there'll be opportunities for more of that in the future, and we'd love to have you come back on, Neil. That'd be fantastic.
All right. And when can I expect Xander?
Never. He's never getting away from us.
Excuse me. No. He needs a California education. As soon as he gets his doctorate from Stanford, I will return him to you.
Gotcha. We'll chat about that offline. Oh, thanks again, Neil. It's been great to chat, and we'll talk again soon.
Bye bye.
See you.